I want to thank Dr. Patrick Welch, our director, for his vision, his service, his extraordinary commitment to making sure our young veterans have every opportunity to be successful. Thank you for that. And I want to recognize our Amherst Town Supervisor, Barry Weinstein, for coming. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate your service and your dedication to helping our communities. It makes a big difference. What we're here to talk about today is a simple piece of legislation that I think will make a difference. We have a very tough economy right now. No matter where you travel all across the state, the number one issue on anyone's mind right now is jobs and the fact that too many families are struggling. Middle-class families are struggling to make ends meet. Small businesses don't have access to lending, and lots of New Yorkers are out of work and are worried about how they're going to provide for their families, for their children, or their aging parents. And that's really the most important issue that we as representatives struggle with every day. And one of the groups that has some of the highest unemployment, unfortunately, is our veterans, particularly our young veterans. Our young veterans under 30 years old across New York have about a 20% unemployment rate. That means 1 in 5 young veterans are out of work right now. That's more than 7, and for all veterans, they have an unemployment rate of about 7%. Nearly 900 veterans under the age of 30 in Western New York currently are unemployed. So these are huge issues for our men and women. And for the men and women who serve this country, they've given everything. They've given everything we ask of them. Dedication, service, sacrifice. They've given their courage. They've given their ultimate effort to make a difference for our nation. And the least we can do is when they come home, we should make sure they have the jobs available to provide for their families. And that means being eligible and be able to access a good education so they can be trained for the jobs of today. Since World War II, we have had the GI Bill, and the GI Bill made an extraordinary difference for a whole generation of veterans to be able to get a college degree, and it really spurred economic growth in the years following World War II because of that generation, our greatest generation. And so what we want to do is make sure the GI Bill is still the bill that will make a difference for veterans coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan to be educated and to be ready to be the workforce for our current growing economy, for the industries that are growing. So what this bill is going to do is called the Post 9/11 Veterans Education Assistance Act. First, it ensures that every member of the military, including the National Guard and Reserve members, have access to all the educational opportunities that they've earned. Specifically, the legislation will allow active duty service members who have been activated by governors to respond to natural disasters or other emergencies to be covered by the GI benefits. Benefits that nearly 30,000 National Guard members currently don't have access to. Additionally, the legislation improves some of the tuition benefits to cover the full cost of an education at any 4-year public institution, making it easier for veterans to take advantage of this benefit. So for a private college, what it allows is up to $20,000 to go for tuition, and for any state school, all tuition's covered, and that is included under the $20,000 cap. The legislation will also improve GI benefits to allow veterans to take advantage of online learning opportunities and apprenticeship training programs so that the veterans can get the on-the-job training they need and actually be able to access more professions and more jobs. Next, the legislation will also provide active duty personnel with the same benefits to cover the cost of books and cover the cost of licensing and certification exams. Currently, they're only eligible for one exam. There's many certifications that would be very helpful for veterans to have access to, again, to open up the job market to our veterans so they have more choices. Lastly, the legislation will allow veterans to give these benefits to a family member once they come home. And so if it's better for their family, for a spouse to be educated or a child to be educated under the GI Bill, that makes a huge difference, and that eligibility is good for 15 years. So I think that'll help a lot of our veteran families have the resources that they need to get a good paying job, to provide for their families, to be able to provide for the needs they have. Because again, when these men and women sacrifice so much for us, the least we can do is give them the tools they need to provide for their families when they come home. I'd now like to introduce Dr. Patrick Welch, who's the director of the Damon College Center for Veterans and Veteran Family Services, retired United States Marine Corps Sergeant and Purple Heart recipient.
It's been a long time since I've pinned a lady, but what I'd like to do is give the senator one of the buttons that we in the Buffalo Veterans Court and Vietnam Veterans of America wear very proudly. It's "Leave No Veteran Behind."
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Some of you know it, some of you don't. I need to know you've got blood flowing through your veins and you've got a set of vocal cords. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Much better. Thank you very much. Senator Gillibrand, welcome to Damon College and welcome to the Center for Veterans and Veteran Family Services. And on behalf of all of our veteran students, many of whom are here today, the veterans in our community, and all of our community, thank you very much for your continuing support for veterans legislation that provides for the proper mental, physical, and educational care for those who have borne the brunt of battle and their families. The post-9/11 GI Bill is the best educational benefit provided to veterans since World War II. And I think it's interesting, I think the Senator and I have the same speechwriter, because this legislation, S3447, is going to make up for a lot of the deficiencies in the original bill. Senators listed several of the points. I want to mention two that I think are specifically important for our community. First of all, the expansion of benefits to the Guard and Reserve. We've got approximately 6,600 Guard and Reserve members in this community, many of whom may not have qualified for the post-9/11 GI Bill. This legislation will now provide for more of them to be eligible. And the second part is the transfer of benefits. This enhancement will allow more of our service members who don't need the college education to transfer those benefits to their spouses and to their children. At the end of World War II, 8 million veterans returned and went to college and proceeded to build the largest and greatest economic and military power the world has ever seen. We must now look to our new greatest generation, bring them home, get an education for them, and help recreate the vision, the vigor, and the vitality so that they can be the future leaders of our country. Higher education in this community has got an economic impact of about $3.2 billion annually and employs about 32,000 people. It's our goal at Damon College and many of the other colleges to make Western New York a national destination for excellence in veterans education. This legislation will help advance that goal. Thank you, Senator Gillibrand, for taking the lead on this legislation as you did in the House and being a co-sponsor. And for all of you out there, a few closing words. Remember that freedom is not free because it has been bought and paid for with the sweat, the tears, the blood, and the lives of 1.2 million Americans buried in cemeteries all over the world. Thank you, Senator. Thank you all.